and for good reason, they're alphabetical, right? But if they're alphabetical, that's not just convenient. That is an assumption we can now exploit to implement this technique known as divide and conquer. So let's go ahead and, for this, we have a volunteer. And I think I can promise not to show you on video 2 years hence, but let's see if you graduate first. How about in back? You want to come on down? So let's suppose we did just that. And behind these sets of doors, this second array, so this is indeed what Sean saw long ago. These were the answers that he was revealing one at a time. OK, come on up. What's your name?
Jeremy.
Jeremy. All right, Jeremy, David, nice to meet you. All right, so now Jeremy's tasked with finding, let's say, the number 50. But this time, so these numbers are different, just to be clear. They're just different random numbers. But I did take some time before class to sort the numbers in such a way that there still might be gaps between them. The numbers are not going to be 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. There could be gaps. But the array of numbers now is increasing from left to right. And I ask you, find the number 50. Before you reveal it, what's your first instinct? What do you want to do?
Take one of the two middles.
OK, let's, just for the folks playing along at home.
Take one of the two middle unknown numbers.
OK. OK, and why the middle ones?
Because then you get the greatest range of larger than or less than.
OK, good. So divide the numbers in half so that, much like the phone book, we can then go left or right. All right, so take your pick. Reveal one such door. OK, so we're at 61. All right, so this was the number 61. And now this is obviously bigger or smaller than what we're looking for. All right, so it's bigger. So much like we dramatically tried to tear phone books in weeks past, this problem now really goes away. And we don't have to even know what these numbers are, but we can at least ignore that half of the problem entirely. So we've gone from size 8 to size 4. Now what do you want to do? All right, so now let's go down the middle. And again, just to be clear here, there's really not a middle. So if we were implementing this in a program, you got to have to figure out how to round. You're either going to have to round down to an even number or round up to an odd number, something like that. But we can at least do that consistently. So you're rounding up slightly. Perfect. So after a big round of applause. That was OK. So partly good luck, right? Because that could have taken Jeremy not 2 steps, which it did, but rather 3, right? If he had kind of rounded down just based on whatever arithmetic he implemented. And was there any reason you went with the right instead of the left?
Well, 61's pretty close. Like, these numbers are huge.
OK.
So,
OK, good. So he was actually a little cheating then, if taking into account the numbers that we pretended weren't there. But that's fine, right? Because if you are given some additional input, like the gaps are of this size or the numbers are between this range, that's absolutely something you could exploit. In worst case, you just randomly choose. But in short, even though there's only 8 pieces of paper or doors here, we still went from 8 to 4. And then we got lucky when we went from 4 to 1. But even in the worst case, we would have gone from 8 to 4 to 2 to 1. So that's 3 iterations total. And that indeed would be a logarithmic running time. Because if we then said to Jeremy, all right, there's not 8 pieces of paper. I actually maybe went to the effort of putting 16 pieces of paper. How many steps would that have taken you? Well, not twice as many.
Log of whatever, however many. So.
OK. Good. So if we had 8 pieces of paper here, and it took you 2 steps in that case, suppose we doubled it.
One more division.
Exactly. Just one more division. And that's the powerful thing. We go from 8 to 16 to 32 to 64. And you can keep batting these problems away, chopping them in half ever so easily. So very well done. Thank you so much. All right. All right. So unfortunately, when you are just given some data, like you don't have someone pre-sorting things for you. So at the end of the day, this kind of begs the question, just how efficiently can we actually sort all of these numbers? How do we go about doing it? And with what techniques can we do and visualize this? Well, why don't we go ahead and pause here, take our 5-minute break, and then we'll bring some more folks up on stage. All right. So let's put these numbers aside and use numbers that are a little smaller and more manageable. Here are some numbers in essentially random order, and there's only 8 of them. And the fact that I keep using, frankly, 8 is kind of intentional because it divides by 2 nicely. But in reality, you might get sizes of 9 or 13 or any crazy numbers. So again, just realize when it comes time to implement something where you're dividing by 2, you're not necessarily going to get as perfect numbers as we are. So you kind of have to figure out whether to round up or down. But you've seen things like the round function already. So that'll come up again before long. So it's more fun than just kind of talking very